We are the Ministry of the Real Truth, and today we are looking at Revelation chapter 13 from the original Galilean Aramaic manuscripts, hidden and preserved for over 2,000 years by the original Church of the East, translated into the nearest English equivalent by a native-born Aramaic-speaking translator, Victor in Alexander. He hails from Mesopotamia or Bet Narain in Syria, and he's got about 20 to 30 years or so experience on translating these particular manuscripts. We read Revelation chapter 13, and the dragon, that's the devil, that old serpent or Satan, that's what it'll tell you in your Americanized modern English versions, stood on the sand of the sea. So this dragon, this old serpent, this devil stands on the sand of the sea. Okay, possibly in relation to a certain nation amongst the people. Sea representing an endless nation of people. And I, John, saw that demon, and it has a footnote indication there, translator's footnote indication. It's asterisk. So we're going to have a look at that. Footnotes 13.1, literal Aramaic idiom or expression, inhumane creature or anti-man. So prior to this we were looking at a Kubrick film, supposedly where a day after 24 minutes were cut out of the scene, he died of a heart attack and so forth. And it depicts a certain elite group and what they get up to behind the scenes. And it made us realise perhaps its origins are detailed in the book of Revelation. So that's why we're having a look at it. Okay, so the dragon, the old serpent, the devil, stood on the sand of the sea. So he stood on this land amongst these people. He was in this land amongst these people. And John saw that demon, the anti-man, rising out of the sea amidst those people, right? That nation. That had 10 horns and 7 heads, and on its head the names of blasphemy. So it's a confederation of a series of states within that nation. Cities or states. And on its heads the names of blasphemies. It had these titles, and these leaders perhaps were blasphemers against God, the Christ, and the holy hosts within that kingdom. And he goes on to say, the demon that John saw, that he saw, resembled a tiger, and his feet were like those of a bear, and his mouth was like the mouth of lions. And the dragon, or the devil, that old serpent, gave his power and his throne and great authority. He gave them that rule, right? That authority, that power, to do his bidding. And one of its heads, as though cut and dying, footnote 13.3, literal Aramaic idiomatic expression, cut to death. And from under its own death it pulled through, and the whole world was enthralled in the wake of that demon. That whole world would be that known conquered world. It's not going to be talking about Australia or the Pacific Islands or New Zealand or anything like that. It's talking about the world around it that was known at that particular time. And these nations worship the dragon or the devil with this wicked confederation, since it gave authority to that demon, that anti-man. And who could do battle with him? This is possibly talking about Rome, the military, and how powerful they were, and they went and conquered in the name of Rome, etc., and they were a mighty force at that particular time, and they won a hell of a lot of battles. So looking at their history, these people would probably say, well, who can defeat them? Who can do battle with them and defeat them? They're just too powerful. And this demon, or anti-man, was given a mouth to utter abominations or blasphemies. 13.5, literal Aramaic idiom or expression, nonsense, during the ministry of Yeshua Mashiach, or Jesus the Christ. And he was given authority, he was given power to do so 42 months. Where would he get his power from? God steps aside and lets this demon anti-man do his thing, so God can fulfill prophecy or scripture. Prophecy at a future or later time. And this particular anti-man opened his mouth to blaspheme against Allah, God in Aramaic, to blaspheme or talk nonsense against his name and his abode, and against those who dwell in heaven. And he was given authority over all generations and nations and tongues and peoples, and he was given authority to do battle with the saints and to defeat them. And they worshipped him, all of them who dwelled on the earth, those whose name is not written in the book of life of the Lamb who was sacrificed from the foundations of the universe. So we are looking deep into that. Who was this particular demon, this anti-man, in the time of Jesus' ministry? Because it was either the Christ or Paul that said later on, you know that the Antichrist is coming. In fact, he's already here. Okay, so he's talking about somebody in that era. And here in the footnotes, again, it's saying that this particular person with great authority was talking a whole lot of blasphemy, a whole lot of nonsense during the ministry of Jesus. So what was he saying? Saying something like, oh, we are gods, I am a god, I am descended from a god, etc., etc. And then setting up Ark of Triumph, a figure on a chariot with a horse, with the sun behind him, etc., etc., saying that he is greater than this god, he is greater than Apollo, he is Apollo, he is greater than Apollo, or this sort of blasphemy. Whether it be in the time of Christ or after. Yeah. This is the abomination, this is the blasphemy, this is the nonsense that this particular person was speaking, uttering. And he was given authority to do so for 42 months. And the whole world was amazed after that inhumane creature, carnivorous beast. And he opened his mouth to blaspheme against Allah, or God in Aramaic, to blaspheme against his name and his abode, and against those who dwell in heaven. And he was given authority over all generations and nations and tongues and peoples, motherlands. And he was given authority to do battle with the saints and defeat them. And they worshipped him, all of them who dwelled on earth, those whose name is not written in the book of life of the Lamb who was sacrificed from the foundations of the universe. He was cut up or consecrated. In the footnotes here, 13:8, literal Aramaic idiom, cut up or consecrated. If a human being has ears, then listen, or pay attention. Listen to what's being said by John in his revelation. If a human being takes captives, by captivity he is taken. If a human being kills by the sword, he is destined to be killed by the sword. This is justification for the hope and faithfulness of the saints. Okay, so it's like consequences. You do unto others as you'd like them to do to you, or karma, or however you want to put it. Right? It's payback. This brings justice for the hope and faithfulness of the saints, those of God, especially those that were martyred during that time, detailed in the book Fox's Book of Martyrs and so forth. And then John sees another demon, an anti-man, that rose from the earth, and he had two horns resembling those of a ram, and he spoke as a dragon. So this is something that's supposed to be godly. It's got a godly image, but it's actually evil. Okay, it's false. And all the powers of that first demon he performed before them, and he made the world and those who dwell in it, so that they would worship the first demon, the one who became healed from under its own death. So what this is hinting at is that this particular anti-man forced all to come under it and worship that first inhumane creature, that carnivorous beast, the Roman Catholic Church. That's what we're led to believe here. And he performed grandiose signs, whereas even far from the sky over the earth before humanity. And he misleads those who dwell on the earth to be the slaves of the image of that demon, the one who had been struck by the sword and had lived. Could this be the very first Roman Catholic Pope? Not Peter. He was never made the Pope or a saint after he died. Well, he was by the Catholic Church, Roman Catholic Church, but they said that he became their first Pope of their church, etc., etc. Total lies. Because he went to Rome and then he was martyred by them. So why would they do that to their first Pope, unless he was revealing secrets or something like that? Okay, so this particular being, this anti-man, misleads those who dwell on earth to be the slaves of the image of that demon, the one who has been struck by the sword and had lived. And it was given him to impart a spirit to the image of that demon, and to command that all those who do not worship the image of that demon be killed. Okay, this is a religious system. And he enslaved them all, the small and the famous, and the rich and the poor, and the children of the free and the slaves, whereas to be given a mark on their right hands or between their eyes, so that no one could sell or buy except he who has the mark of that demon or the number of his name. Okay, it's nothing to do with Hitler and the Holocaust. It's a religious mark. It's a seal. It's a certification. It's a stamp. Okay, possibly a sign that's performed on that particular person. It could be also to do with the mind. Okay, someone messing with their mind. Okay, there's many other explanations for that. So that no one could sell or buy except he has the mark of that demon or the number of his name. There's an allegiance, a loyalty to this particular anti-man, etc. Here there is wisdom. Whoever has a mind or intelligence or a brain should count the number of that demon, for it is the number of a human being, and its number is 666. Okay, there's many theories that it's this, that's that it's Trump, that it's Ronald Reagan, etc., etc. Don't believe any of that hype, because they keep changing it every year. Oh, it was Obama. Oh no, now it's Trump. Oh no, now it's Biden. I don't know what the hell they're talking about. Assumptions, right? Okay, so here it is here. Literal Aramaic idiom, authorization, certification, stamp, seal or commission. On their foreheads. Yeah. So like, say for example, God knows those that are His. They have that stamp, that approval, that mark. Okay, so God can see them from afar and know that they are His, according to the Scriptures. And then you have the opposite. Okay, the opposition. Those of the devil, children of the devil, those who reject God, the Christ, etc., who have their certification, stamp, seal or commission on their foreheads. It's all to do with the mind. Do you have a Christ-like mind? Or do you have this devil-led, wicked mind that runs, and your feet run to do evil, etc., etc.? We'll leave you to contemplate this. If you like this video, then subscribe to our channel, give us a like, add your comments below this video, and then share it with all your family, friends, neighbours and others.